Here we go, a live look into the locker room as we get ready to see the battle between the Arrows and the Thunder. Coming up next, we welcome you to the Pepsi Center, the home of the Plainfield Thunder. They have one loss, and that was to the Centerton Racers. Christian Bryan looks really good this season. He looks to go off today. Take a look at the standings. The Terre Arrows look really good. How about Anderson as well, looking really good? Fostoria, Lafayette, all up there. Here we go. The starting five: Ridgeway, Baker Lance, Ellett, Green, Stevenson, all for the Arrows. Jerry Lomax getting the call to start for the Thunder. Nick Green and the Terre Haute Arrows. Zach Ellett and the Terre Haute Arrows. We are live from Plainfield. Noah Smith looks. He is being covered now by Ridgeway. Lomax, he's going to score. Jerome Lomax for two. Here's Ridgeway. Ridgeway back to Stevenson. Pass to Baker Lands. Back to Ellett. Zach Ellett looks back to Green. Nick Green for three. Tyler Wren there, covered by Green, but Tyler Wren's gonna score. Ellett to Baker Lands. Baker Lands, he's gonna go up, he's gonna miss it. Here's Gardner, back to Lomax. Dry Lomax for two. How about Ishmael Kedegat? He's gonna be playing later in this game for the Arrows. Here's Ellett. Zach Ellett, he's going to look. He goes inside, he's going to score. Zach Ellett will score. Cap Ellett is his nickname. Here's Smith, he's going to look. Noah Smith, he looks. Pass to Bryan. Covered by Stevenson. Here's Bryan. Jason Garner Jr. misses. Stevenson with the rebound. Pass there. Here's Baker Lands. Lands to Green. Nick Green for two. And the Arrows are up by one. Here's Smith. Back to Gardner. Back to Smith. Back to Tyler Wren. Wren looks. Here comes Noah Smith. Pass to Garner Jr. Back to Lomax. Jerome Lomax there to Garner Jr. Back to Wren. To Garner again. He will miss it. Green with the rebound. Paul Ridgeway passes to Ellett. Ellett there to Green. Nick Green is on fire here in Plainfield, and it's 10-6. Nick Green and Jonathan Stevenson return to Plainfield, and it is 10-6. The Arrows are up. How about Gulf Shores losing to Anderson? Ryan there, pass to Lomax, and it's Jerry Lomax who's going to score. It's a 2-point game. Pretty even game, pretty much. Ridgeway, he's going to look. Green, good defense there. Back to Ellett. Zach Ellett for three. And the Terre Haute Arrows look hot in this game. 13-8 here in this one. Timeout, Plainfield. The Terre Haute Arrows, led by Nick Thunder Green, playing really good basketball here early in this one. And we welcome you back to the Pepsi Center. Taking a look at the league leaders, the last 10 games and points. The Arrows and the Thunder are up there. How about the Racers up there as well? Here we go. Gardner. He's going to look. Back to McGee. Back to Gardner. Back to McGee. Brody McGee looks. He shoots and he will make the three. Brody McGee. Paul Oliver now with the ball. Passes to Ellett. Zach Ellett with it. Back to Oliver. Back to Green. Green. He's going to look. He has a look. Covered by Wren. Back to Kenica. Ishmael Kenica misses a three. Tyler Wren rebound. Back to Lomax. Here comes Jerime Lomax. Looking good. Back to Welty. Back to Gardner Jr. Gardner misses. Jonathan Stevenson rebound. Pass to Kenica. Back to Green. Green to Ishmael. Pass back to Ellett. Zach Ellett for three. Cap will make the three-pointer. And the three-pointers are draining for the Arrows. Here comes McGee. He has it getting covered now by Oliver. Here's Lomax. Jerime Lomax misses. Ellett with the rebound. Here comes Stevenson. Back to Kenica. Ishmael Kenica there. Has the ball. Ishmael Kenica there. He's going to miss it. Here's Tyler Wren. From deep three-point range, he will miss it. And the Terre Haute Arrows look really good early. Zach Ellett, Nick Green, the team leader for both. For that team. Tyler Wren looks good as well for the Plainfield Thunder. We will be back. Here we go, folks. Second half. Colton Catchings gives it, not second half, but second quarter, gives it to Oliver. Here's Oliver back to Kenica. Kenica from the free throw line makes the pass. Jaden Norris on the court. Oliver to Norris. Jaden Norris misses. Brody McGee looks. Here's Brody. Pass to Welty. Levi Welty misses the three. Ridgeway rebound. Pass to Norris. Oh my goodness. Jaden Norris with the slam. Jaden Norris with the slam. Here's Wiederholt. Wiederholt there. He will slam it in as well. Ishmael Kenica with the ball. He looks, and the alley-oop pass to Ridgeway, and it's a dunk. The Arrows up 20-13. Here we go, folks. Back live. Ty Hamilton there on the bench. 20-13. The Terre Haute Arrows look really good. Purple and gold. Noah Smith gives it to Minette. Minette looks. Guarded by Baker Lanes as Wiederholt drains the two. Ridgeway gives it to Kenica. How about Baker Lanes on the court? Here's Kenica. Gives it to Ridgeway. Ridgeway looks to pass. There, now it's Colton Catchings. Back out to Kenica. Ridgeway there. Pass to Jaden Norris. Ishmael Kenica misses a three. Ryan rebound. Ryan there. Smith. 3-point game. Plainfield coming back. Here's Kenica. Once again, pass to Ridgeway. Paul Ridgway, he drains the 2. Paul Ridgway has looked good as well here in this one. Here's McGaha. Brody McGaha looks really good. Back to Wiederholt for 2. He misses. Jaden Norris with the rebound. Norris back to Kittiga. Back to Ridgway. Ridgway looks, and he is going to be blocked. But it's a shooting foul by Christian Bryan. Timeout, Terre Haute. The Arrows will call the timeout. 2:24 left here in the second quarter. Here we go, back here from Plainfield. How about the league leaders field goal percentage? The top 5 are all Terre Haute guys.
Take a break. Take a break.
Here we go. Paul Ridgway at the line. At the line for 2, it's Paul Ridgway. Here is the first free throw. Ridgway makes the first one. Baker Lance and Ishmael Kettiga on the court still. Ridgway, he's going to look. And he's going to... The second free throw is made. He makes both free throws, and it's Jetta Minette with the ball. Minette there. He's going to look. Back to Gardner. Jason Gardner Jr. misses a 3. Kettiga rebound. Back to Baker Lands. Harper Baker Lands. The alley-oop misses. Stolen by the Thunder. McGaha there. Back to Wren. Tyler Wren. Back to McGaha. Back to Minette. Jetta Minette. He will miss the 3. Paul Ridgway rebound. Back to Kettiga. Ishmael Kettiga misses a 3. Stevenson could not get the rebound there. Jetta Minette, good looking right there. Good ball handling by Jetta. Here's Jetta. Gonna look. He's gonna take himself back out to Wren. Tyler Wren misses a 3. And it's a loose ball foul by Jetta Minette by the Thunder. Jaden Norris is coming into the game. Jaden Norris into the game for the Arrows. Arrow fans are on their feet, even at home. Here's Ellett. Zach Ellett cannot be stopped. Cap Ellett drains it again. Here's Minette. Back to McGaha. Brody McGaha for 2. This Terre Haute Arrows team is well played. Here's Baker Lance. Back to Kettiga. Back to Ellett. Zach Ellett looks. From inside the paint, he drains it. 13 points here tonight for Zach Ellett. Really good game by Zach. McGaha back to Wren. Tyler Wren looks. Back to Smith. Back to Brody. Brody McGaha for 3 misses, and Jaden Norris rebound. Pass to Stevenson, back to Kettiga. Ishmael Kettiga misses. Noah Smith rebound. Here's Gardner Jr. He has the ball. Less than 10 seconds to go. Here's McGaha. He looks. Wren. Gardner Jr. He drains a 3. Jason Gardner Jr. makes a 3. Ishmael Kettiga does not drain the half-court shot. 29-22. The Terre Haute Arrows are up. Great game so far. The Plainfield Thunder has not looked that good here today, but I can tell you who does look really good. It's the Terre Haute Arrows. Halftime report. Here is a halftime show. 29-22. Taking a look back at the highlights of this game, Zach Ellett and Nick Green are the dominators. But Zach Ellett, definitely the main guy that is the dominator. How about around the league? Indianapolis plays Johnson County. Galloway plays Dayton in a battle of Ohio. How about Chesterton and Lafayette? That's going to be a good game as well. Really good game here as we get back to action from Plainfield. Here we go, back in action from the Pepsi Center in Plainfield. Zach Ellett, first half, what can we say except he is fantastic. Zach Ellett owned Plainfield in that first half. Looking to come out strong here in the second half. How about Nick Green? He will give it to Ellett, and we are underway in the second half. Ellett, he's going to look. Pass to Ridgway. Paul Ridgway looks, drives it. Ridgway continues to drive it. Here comes Ridgway. Covered by Smith. Back to Ellett. Zach Ellett, oh my goodness, he missed a three-pointer. Zach Ellett misses a three as the crowd goes wild, as they are all shocked that he missed that three. Here's Lomax. Back to Wren. Tyler Wren for three. Here is Paul Ridgway. Ridgway looks strong. Back to Baker Lands. Harper Baker Lands. Harper Baker Lands quiets the Plainfield crowd. Here's Smith. Back to Gardner Jr. Back to Wren. Tyler Wren to Bryan. Christian Bryan. Misses the two. Lands rebound. Here's Thunder. Green has it. Back to Harper. Baker back to Ellett. And Zach Ellett once again for two. That was not a three. Look at the deep pass to Lomax. Drive Lomax. He will score. Here comes Zach Ellett once again. Looks back to Baker Lands. Baker Lands to Ellett. Zach Ellett for two. Timeout, Plainfield. Zach Ellett once again continues to dominate here at the Pepsi Center. Back live, here we go. The Terre Haute Arrows look really good, up by 9. Here's Smith. Noah Smith looks. Pass to Lomax. Jerime Lomax. Inside the paint, misses the two-pointer. Stevenson rebound. Stevenson drives it. Here's Jonathan. Back to Ellett. Zach Ellett, is he going to keep it himself or is he going to give it to someone? Back to Ridgway. Back to Cap Ellett. Back to Baker Lands. Harper Baker Lands for three. Terre Haute on a 10-2 run in the last minute. Here's Noah Smith. Back to Lomax. Jerime Lomax there. Back to Wren. Back to Gardner. Jason going game. Terre Haute is up by 10, but it feels like Ridgeway. Pass to Ellett. Zach Ellett. Back to Stevenson. Ridgeway. Ellett. Zach Ellett misses. And how about this? The rebound by the Thunder. Here's Lomax. He looks. Pass to Gardner Jr. Jason Gardner Jr. He misses a three-pointer. Back to Stevenson. Back to Baker Lands. Harper Baker Lands misses. We have a guy down, and it's Jonathan Stevenson. Christian Bryan misses. Timeout. Terre Haute. Jonathan Stevenson down on the court. I think it's Jonathan. It might be. Yeah, it's Jonathan. Looks like that he got hurt on this play by Jason Gardner Jr. Back live into the game. Miguel, Lomax, Gardner Jr. The Arrows are on a 17-game winning streak. Ellett gives it to Kittiga. Ishmael Kittiga there has the ball. Pass to Ellett. Zach Ellett inside the paint, drains it. Zach Ellett cannot be stopped. Brody Miguel has it. Covered by Oliver. Here's Gardner Jr. now. Jason Gardner Jr. back to Brody Miguel. Miguel misses the shot. Here's Green. Nick Green driving in deep. Back to Oliver. And the tip back to Ellett. Pass to Kittiga. Ishmael Kittiga. He misses. Christian Bryan with the rebound. Pass to Lomax. Drive Lomax. And they are trying to do some dunks, but they aren't doing anything as Jason Gardner Jr. is not going to make it either. Here's Green. Green back to Kittiga. Ishmael Kittiga. He's going to slam it in. Drive Lomax. He decided not to pay attention there as Kittiga slams it in. 43-29. Miguel looks. He's going to miss the shot. 43-29 after 3. It's a blowout here in the third quarter. It's a fourth quarter. Smith gives it to Miguel. Brody Miguel with it. Here's Brody. Brody looks strong. Back to Gardner. Jason Gardner Jr. He misses, but Welty rebound. He puts it back in. Ty Hamilton. He gives it to Kittiga. Here's Ishmael. Back to Baker Lands. Back to Hamilton. Hamilton looks to Jaden Norris. Norris looks. Welty covering, and Jaden Norris is going to score. Here we go. The pass to Welty. Levi Welty slams it in. Levi Welty turning into a decent player. Here's Harper Baker Lands. Back to Kittiga. Ishmael Kittiga for 2. 47-33. Timeout. Plainfield. This game's pretty much over now. Unless Plainfield can put together a run, Terre Haute is dominating this one. The Arrows might be on their way to remain undefeated. Here we go.
Substitution for the away team. Number 19.
Oliver, Kittiga, Baker Lands, and others. The Plainfield Thunder is struggling in this one. Here is Smith. He looks. He's going to give it to McGee. Brody McGee looks. Pass to Welty. Passing to Manette. Passing to McGee. Brody McGee misses. Norris rebound. Norris gives it to Baker Lands. Harper Baker Lands. He will miss the three. Brody McGee with the rebound. Here's Brody. He looks. Pass to Welty. Back to Gardner. Jason Gardner Jr. drains the three. Paul Oliver now looks strong. Back to Kittica. Ishmael Kittica back to Catchings. Colton Catchings to Baker Lands. Inside the paint. Harper Baker Lands for two. Baker Lands is scoring really good today as well. Plainfield will call the timeout. 49-36. Terre Haute leads. This game is presented by Nova Rain. Go listen to all his albums, including Gold Streak, and one of his best songs that he ever made, Best of 26. That is Nova Rain on all music platforms. Not YouTube, but all music platforms. Here's Lomax, back to Brian. Brian looks. Christian Brian, he will miss it. Ishmael Kittica there. Back to Ellett. Zach Ellett on the court. He looks. Back to Kittica. Ishmael Kittica inside the paint. He will drain it. It's 51-36. Noah Smith looks. Back to Gardner Jr. Gardner back to Brian. Christian Bryan to Noah Smith. Back to Gardner Jr. Jason Gardner Jr. for two, not three. I almost said for three there. I don't know why they're having a pressure defense now when they're down big. Here's Baker Lands. Back to Ellett. Zach Ellett has always looked good. Here's Kittica. Back to Ridgeway. Paul Ridgeway. And Christian Bryan, you are now on a poster. Paul Ridgeway makes Bryan into a poster as Gardner Jr. misses a three. Rebound Tyler Wren. Here's Noah Smith once again. Smith back to Lomax. Jerime Lomax misses a three. And Ishmael Kittica with the rebound. Ishmael Kittica there to Ellett. Zach Ellett inside the paint misses. Jerime Lomax back to Noah Smith. Back to Bryan. Christian Bryan slams it in. Thunder gives it to Baker Lands. Passing to Kittica. Ishmael Kittica there. Looks. Great defense. Zach Ellett inside the paint. He's going to miss it. Again. Wren there. Passing to Lomax. Big defense there. Great defense for Jason Gardner Jr. Misses. Ridgeway rebound. Here's Ridgeway giving it back to Kittica. Ishmael back to Thunder. Green with the ball. Back to Ellett. Zach Ellett misses. Back to Kittica. Back to Baker Lands. Holds it. Back to Green. Back to HBL. Back to Cap Ellett. And the Terre Haute Arrows will just hang on to the ball. They're not going to score it, and the Arrows will win it in Plainfield. Folks, what a game. The Terre Haute Arrows led by Zach Ellett. 53-40. Final score, 13-point game. The Arrows dominate Plainfield. It's time for the player of the game. It's Cap. Zach Ellett played fantastic. And Plainfield is officially his son. Zach Ellett and the Terre Haute Arrows dominate the Plainfield Thunder. That will do it, folks. Thanks for watching.